Another bloody DVD, Blu-ray and semi-ticket update. You betcha. Take one. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Hello and welcome to another DVD and Blu-ray update. I don't know if I'll do one around Christmas time, but this might be one of the last ones I do this year. Mainly because I'm trying to cut back on like the number of Blu-rays I've been buying, because I bought quite a lot this year. So, I'm going to try and cut back a bit more, but is what I've got currently. So let's get started. First one is, it's a semi, and also if you notice in the title I called it a semi-ticket update. That's because I actually went to the cinema between this time and last time, and unfortunately the Cineworld I went to is doing away with tickets. Instead you have to do it contactless, which is fair enough, because of COVID and the cost of paper and stuff, but it is a slight shame, for collectors like me, who don't have a physical record. So I've just got a sticky note right here, and it is No Time to Die. This is the latest James Bond film. If you've been keeping up with my DVD collections, you know I keep saying, I'm a little wary of going to watch it, and I was. I said I wasn't going to watch it until like the reviews come out, until people were saying it was good. And the reviews came out and people did say it was good, so I went to go and see it, and I really enjoyed it. I generally think it's a very good film, a very different take, on a Bond film, and I think it's a bit like On Her Majesty's Secret Service, in a weird way. Well, it literally just takes the All the Time in the World song from that film, but I think the reaction to this film later on is probably going to be like On Her Majesty's Secret Service, where you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. I mean, I really like On Her Majesty's Secret Service. But yeah, this, for the Daniel Craig Bond films, I say, it's better than Spectre, and it's better than, obviously it's a lot better than Quantum of Solace. I'd say it's slightly better than Skyfall, but they're kind of neck and neck, and obviously it's not as good as Casino Royale, but it's still absolutely fantastic. I'd definitely recommend it. Now we move on to the DVDs, and what a surprise, another pissing Doctor Who release. I don't know when the next one's coming out. It's probably coming out later on next year, so you won't see any Doctor Who for a very long time. And that is, and the newest one is Galaxy 4. This is a William Hartnell era story, which I'm glad they're finally getting around to Hartnell's era, because mostly they've been, for the animated ones, they've only been doing Troughton, which I don't have a problem with, because Patrick Troughton's my favourite Doctor, but to be honest, it kind of feels a bit like, you're not giving the original Doctor any love. I think the reason why they're not doing that many Hartnells just yet is because I think it's really cost and profit, because a lot of the missing Hartnell ones are, the historicals like Marco Polo, The Crusade, what else? Mythmakers, they've got, big casts and stuff, so it's going to take forever to animate, and also, like, most Doctor Who fans aren't overly interested in the historicals. I mean, some like completists like me would buy them, but for like casual fans, or maybe fans who are just starting out, they probably aren't going to be interested. So, and whereas most of the missing Troughton ones are, the Base Under Siege stuff, you've got quite small casts and quite interesting monsters and stuff, so, it's cheaper, and you can get better output with Troughton. Plus, I think Troughton is a far more popular Doctor. But, it's good, that they're doing Hartnell stuff. So, This one, episode 3, survives. It turned up back in 2011. I've not watched the animation yet. In fact, really, I've not even watched the Evil of the Daleks animation just yet. I've seen the Web of Fear animation. Oh my god. Won't delve into that. But, you know, in fact, actually, I do want to watch the story again because the version which I had previously, which is this release right here, which is the loose cannon reconstruction, this was LC11, I think. It was one of their first ones they did back in 1999, and it had really, really poor quality sound, like absolutely piss poor. You know, you could barely understand a thing that was going on. Episode 3, like when we get to episode 3, which actually survives, you know, the audio quality like jumps up like a ton. So yeah, I'm kind of glad, you know, to be getting rid of this, although I won't throw it away because you know, I made this, you know, why would I want to get rid of it? But yeah, hopefully the sound quality on this I've checked, and it's far better than the one on the reconstruction. And I do think Galaxy 4 is probably a good one, you know, to go for animation-wise, because I mean, it's got a small cast and it, you know, it's got quite interesting like ideas and creatures and stuff. You know, if you're going to do a Hartnell one, I think, you know, Galaxy 4 would be a good choice, even though it's not particularly popular. But yeah, something which I seem to be the only person who notices this, but again, like Evil of the Daleks, they didn't run episode 3 through the vidfire process, so you know it's not running at the correct frame rate it's supposed to. They did run episode 3 through the vidfire process on the Aztecs special edition, which is the version which is on here. But you know, I think I can live. I think I'm gonna have to get used to them not running them through vidfire anymore. But yeah, here's the discs. Again, got a clear swing tray. This originally came in a clear case. You know, there's really no need to say that, but I swapped it out with this case. And I swapped, you know, put my reconstruction in the clear case. And this slipcover artwork, I'm using the reversible sleeve, by the way. This is the artwork that makes it fit in with the rest. So yeah, this one's black and white and disc 2's colour. So you know, I'm hopefully going to be getting around to watching that. So these are all films now. So we start off. So then the final DVD is actually a double set, and it is Every Which Way But Loose and Any Which Way You Can. This is those movies with Clint Eastwood and an orangutan. So yeah, they're good fun. You know, they're fun little films. You know, you just kind of put them on. You know, on like a Sunday afternoon or something, and you know they're good fun and they're actually really quite funny as well. And they're not like deep films or particularly great films, but you know they're good. You know, they're good for what they are. You know, I would recommend them. Yeah, the discs. I would say I prefer Any Which Way You Can. I think maybe because it has a bit more of a plot, unlike Every Which Way But Loose, which basically practically doesn't have a plot. It does have one, but you know it's more like a sketch show rather than a film. But yeah, these are good fun. Yeah. Now we move on to the Blu-rays, and the first Blu-ray is My Cousin Vinny. Interesting fact about this film. This film is actually, the courtroom scenes are actually more legally realistic than most courtroom dramas. I think maybe because I know it was either the director or the writer that went to like law school, you know, before they became screenwriters. So, you know, they could add a ton of legal realism to it in an easily digestible format. And this is a very good film. It's, you know, very funny stuff. Joe Pesci is fantastic. I was surprised. I don't think Joe Pesci has done that much comedy, really, other than this and Home Alone and maybe the Lethal Weapon films he did. Because in the Lethal Weapon films he did, he was comic relief. Yeah, a good film, but I'm gonna be dead controversial. I wasn't keen on Marissa Tomei. Um, I don't dislike her performance or something, but I just found her character, like during the first half in particular, really quite grating. Um, I know why she's there, and you know what, and I know she's supposed to be grating, but there's kind of that balance, you know, between being a grating character and being grating to the audience, and she sadly very often fell into grating to the audience for me. But I appear to be in the minority because even people who don't like this film tend to like Tomei. But you know, it doesn't take anything away from the film. It's still definitely one I'd recommend. Is the disc, which is bland and blue because it's a recent Fox disc. So, you know, Disney coming in, shitting all over our Blu-rays. Next one is Manhunter. This was the first Hannibal Lecter film, believe it or not. It's based on Thomas Harris's novel Red Dragon. This came out like before Silence of the Lambs. This came out in the 80s. And it doesn't feature Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. It has Brian Cox, who, to be honest, does do a really good performance, you know, as Lecter. Of course, obviously, you know, Hopkins and Lecter are kind of interchangeable. You know, Hopkins kind of made that role his own. But, you know, Brian Cox still is really good in this film. And I've seen this and I've seen the Edward Norton Red Dragon. I think I need to go back to the Edward Norton Red Dragon because, to be honest, I wasn't overly keen on Red Dragon, but I really liked this film. I do think Silence of the Lambs is better, you know, no doubt about it. You know, like Silence of the Lambs is top tier. But this is still a good film. And if you're like a Hannibal Lecter completist, like I'm not, then, you know, I would definitely recommend it. Next one is I.R. Fargo, a Coen Brothers film, which I saw this once. I saw this for the first time a couple of years ago, and to be honest, I wasn't overly impressed. I just kind of found it very underwhelming and a bit boring. You know, I couldn't get the plot or anything. I think it was either the first or the second Coen Brothers film I'd seen. It was either this or No Country for Old Men. I don't know which one it was actually, but recently I gave this another watch because I've seen more of the Coen Brothers stuff, and it's actually become my favourite of the Coen Brothers filmography. It's fantastic. Of course, is it overrated? A little bit. I don't think it's the masterpiece everyone says it is, but it's definitely a very good film. And of course, infamously, this was the film where Steve Buscemi was put for a wood chipper. Yeah. But, you know, it's a very, very good film. This actually has beaten Barton Fink as my favourite Coen Brothers film. Barton Fink was my favourite one for a while until I rewatched this. But yeah, here's the disc. So yeah, that's very good, Fargo. Next two are a couple of horror films which I've seen for a while. I've only seen I've seen most of the slasher films, and these ones for a while were kind of the ones left out, and I've been wanting to watch them for some time. And I mean, I've watched them now. Watched them a while ago, and that is. First one is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Of course, a very, very influential horror film. It basically birthed the slasher film genre. And basically it's like a massive allegory of the meat industry. And it's a great, great film, this. I don't think it's overly scary now, but you know, it's still a great film. And I mean, it's kind of a film where you have to know what you're getting into, you know, when you watch it, because you know, when you look at the title and stuff, you think like, oh, it's going to be like a Chainsaw Massacre, like Leatherface is going to run around like chainsawing people up, and then you hear it was banned in this country for many years. You know, you think, yeah, it's going to be like this gore fest and stuff, when it's not really. Like, there's only one chainsaw death in the whole film. In fact, that was the reason why it was banned in this country for so many years, because there was nothing to cut out, you know, and it was more like the sustained terror of it back then, which made it. Well, it was James Furman who basically refused to get a certificate. In fact, in this country, up until like 1999 or something, you could only watch it in like select local councils because the BBFC had refused to give it a certificate. But yeah, this is fantastic. Such a great film. One of the best horror films at that point. My favourite slasher film, actually, of the lot. Anyway, here's the inside. So here we have. This is a 2-disc set. So I've not watched any of the special features yet. I'll watch like the Shocking Truth and stuff at some point. But this came like the Arrow releases. It comes in a reversible sleeve. So this is, I'm using the poster artwork. And on the inside we have the artwork that it came with. Obviously it's got like the BBFC 18 certificate and stuff. Here's that. And also, I'm just wondering, is it? I don't know how the hell they spell chainsaw, because I think most it's accepted that it's spelt chainsaw, as in the chain and the saw are separate words, but sometimes, you know, like it's chainsaw is one word, and I know the word chainsaw is one word, so I don't know why. And also, funnily enough, a bit of trivia, this film was also the reason why for many years, you know, the word chainsaw was banned from a lot of film titles in the UK. That most infamously was the film Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, which was like heavily cut when it first came out, and they retitled it Hollywood Hookers, which, I'm sorry, that sounds like far more suggestive and far more inappropriate than Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Yeah. And also, this film, a lot of people consider this a video nasty. It actually wasn't. I think the most it ever got on was the DPP Section 3 list. You know, where, you know, it wasn't films that were prosecuted, but, you know, they could, like, the police could seize them, you know, during the pre-cert era. You know, and kind of after the video recordings, I actually couldn't buy it until the late 90s. Next one, following on from that, is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which has definitely developed a really strong cult following over the years. Of course, I think this was like a bomb or something when it came out. It got like poor reviews and stuff. But this film is nothing like the first one. The first one is like a proper serious horror film, whereas this one is more like a horror comedy. And it is actually really quite funny in a lot of cases. I mean, the first Chainsaw Massacre is a bit of a dark comedy, but this one kind of ramps up the comedy, you know, to a ridiculous amount. This was directed by Tobe Hooper, who directed the first Chainsaw Massacre. I believe this was one of the films he did with Cannon Films, the infamous Cannon Films, during the mid-80s. He did this, Life Force, and Invaders from Mars. And this came out like... The first Chainsaw Massacre came out in 1974. This came out in 1986. And you can tell it's a comedy because the poster is like a parody of the Breakfast Club poster. And the only person who from the original film who returns is the old man. I can't remember what his name was, or the actor's name. I don't know if I think he died recently, or like he died a long time ago. I'm not sure. And basically, like, no one else returns. Inside here we have the disc and the artwork it came with. And we just get a little leaflet thing with which you get in a lot of Arrow releases. We have just an advert for the Arrow video channel, which is like a streaming service, not interested. And the 39th Chamber of Shaolin. But yeah, this one was also banned in this country for some time. Well, what happened was when Canon like submitted it in the 80s, because remember the first Chainsaw Massacre was banned in this country as well. The BBFC like demanded a shit ton of cuts, like well over 20 minutes, and so like Canon decided, you know what, fuck that, we're not going to release it here. In fact, basically, I think all the Chainsaw Massacre films were banned in this country until the late 90s. They were all refused a certificate. It's slightly interesting, and I don't even think there's kind of like, when I was watching this film, I was partially looking at it from a census perspective, and there's not really that much like stuff to cut out. You know, you could probably cut out like 2 minutes, but not 20 odd minutes. I think the BBFC just didn't want to give it a certificate. Yeah. Of course, it's not as good as the first Chainsaw Massacre, but it's still a really good film. Still, give it a chance. You know, if you come across it, it's really fun. Next one is John Carpenter film, one I've been wanting to watch for a while again. They Live, with the iconic line, I come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Yeah, this is considered by many to be a horror film. In fact, I even found it in the horror section at HMV. I don't think of it as a horror film. I think of it more as like a sci-fi thriller. But of course, stars the late Rowdy Roddy Piper. But yeah, this is a great film. I wouldn't say it's John Carpenter's best. I think like The Thing and Halloween are better, but you know, it's still absolutely fantastic. Fantastic satire on, you know, the sort of the politics of the 80s. You know, the buy everything Ronald Reagan era, which even though it's very much based in the 80s, it actually feels very much timeless, you know, because you still get like subliminal messages in advertising and stuff to this day, and that even more so because of the internet. Yeah, it's a 2-disc set. And it also kind of reminded me a bit of V as well, if you've ever seen that series. Yeah, so They Live, great film, check it out. Now we move on to another John Carpenter film, and it is, I'm going to very badly butcher this title, Die Machi des Lasens, or to give it its proper title, In the Mouth of Madness. This, I believe, is the third part of a trilogy he did. I can't remember what it was called. Oh, the Apocalypse trilogy. So there was The Thing, Prince of Darkness, which I've not seen yet, and this. I watched this last night, and it's not Carpenter's best film, but it's definitely a very, very, very good film. Very, very surreal, very like, what the fuck, but you know, it's a very good film as well. It was actually never released on DVD in this country or Blu-ray. It was only ever released on VHS and Laserdisc. So I think it's available like in every other part of the world except the UK for some reason. So I imported the German Blu-ray, which obviously, despite being a German Blu-ray, it has an English soundtrack, and like the menus in English, the warnings are in English. Basically, everything on the disc is in English, which so I think it might just be like an American disc or something, which they've stuck in German packaging. Here's the disc. Surprisingly, they use. This isn't the original case it came in. I swapped it out because the original case had, you know, quite a lot of like damage like on that side and stuff. So I put it in a replacement case, but it's basically near enough the same size. And they use the American style Blu-ray case, which the American style Blu-ray case is actually a lot thinner than the UK ones. Here's a UK Blu-ray, which it's the spine is the same thickness as a DVD case, but they use a lot thinner cases, you know, in the US and Germany, and I think a lot of other territories. If you're like in a country that isn't the US or the UK or wherever, what size Blu-ray cases do you have? Type in the comments, I really want to know. But yeah. And then the final one is a set which was a pain in the absolute arse to get a hold of, but definitely worth it. I love this film. Riccio, the story of Ricky. I'll tell you the story about this, you know, right now. So I'll put a timestamp in case, you know, you just want to skip past the bullshit and just get to me talking about this film. But I initially pre-ordered this back in like July or something from HMV, and I was waiting because it was supposed to come out in September. Then when the release date came, HMV said they'd run out of stock, you know. But here's the thing, that was only the online store that ran out of stock, because like I went in HMV once before and they actually had it in store, so why didn't they have it on the online store? I don't know. And then, because this is a limited edition set, the company who put this out, doesn't say, 88 Films, they had run out of stock of this, so I thought, you know, fuck, I'm never going to get it, because it's obvious HMV aren't going to get it back in stock. And so when 88 Films announced they were repressing it, you know, because of like conflicts with their online store and stuff, you know, I jumped on the opportunity and then I ordered it directly from 88 Films and cancelled my pre-order. And it finally arrived in November, like near mid-November. It came out back in September, but didn't get it till November. But yeah, this is a fucking crazy film. Watched this with a couple of mates on Discord and we were just laughing our asses off at it. It's insane. It's based on a manga, and it's based on a manga, and it's a Hong Kong film, and you know, it's beat for beat what I assume the manga's like, so it doesn't no restraints on the gore or anything like that. It is insanely gory, but I love it. It's just so over the top. A lot of people compare it to the manga Fist of the North Star, which I've never read, or as I would more aptly call it, Mortal Kombat meets Looney Tunes, or The Shawshank Mutilation. And yes, this is much, much better than The Shawshank Redemption. I'm not even being sarcastic. It's funnier for a start. But yeah, it comes in a nice box right here. This is part of their 88 Films. I think this is part of their category 3 range, which the Hong Kong rating system, the highest rating you can get is category 3, which is like the equivalent to an 18 certificate or an NC-17. And I believe it did quite poorly in Hong Kong, but it did a much, much better in Japan. But yeah, on the inside we actually have, I'm using the reversible artwork. And the artwork that it came with was the same as the one on the box. So this uses the poster artwork, which is okay. It's a photo montage, but they incorporate elements of the manga in there. Yeah, here's the disc. Here's the reversible artwork. I've only ever watched it with the English dub, like the pretty bad English dub. What you'd expect from an English dub. I've never listened to it with the original Hong Kong audio and subtitles, so I'll get around to doing that at some point. But inside here we have a couple of art cards. The back on these is all the same, by the way. That kind of tells you a lot about this film. This screenshot and this one right here. And inside we have a poster. It's quite a small poster. I think it's quite a standard size poster you get with a Blu-ray, but is the commissioned artwork done by, what's his face? Kung Fu Bob O'Brien. It's in Hong Kong, so you know. And on the back we have the original poster artwork. Which is pretty cool. And then we have a booklet right here, which is Caged Fury, which is all about Hong Kong prison films from the 80s through the 90s. So yeah, not read this yet, but you know, on the back you get some artwork and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I fucking love this film. It's a shame it was such a pain in the arse to get, but it was well worth it. Anyway, that is it for the moment. Till next time, so long for now.